Hello, good morning also from me. Yeah, I'm Don Dahlmann, lead editor, Automotive Mobile for Gründerszene. On a personal note, we started our channel 4 months ago because we thought it was time to start writing and talking about the disruptions in the automotive and mobility industry. And after 4 months, it's really amazing what we achieved until now, especially with the Gründerszene event team and everybody else for this nice conference. Thanks a lot. So I would invite all my guests on the stage. I would do the introduction. Later, Stefan.
Wo sollen wir uns sitzen? Ist dir egal, oder? Wo wir sitzen?
Just sit. Okay. Yeah, you saw Stefan from PCH Innovation. You saw already Bettina this morning. You didn't see Stefan Schulz. He's from Munich Re Consulting. And Raphael Cindrat, he's from BestMile from Switzerland. The first questions to you, Bettina. You just heard this good talk from Stefan. Is it Audi thinking about those things that Stefan had mentioned?
Yes.
Yes, okay. So in what direction? I mean, I know that you have very innovative technologies for autonomous drive, etc., but there was also some critics in the last months about how Audi is changing, especially design stuff, etc.
So in general, the visions, I call it vision, I hope it's fine for you, Stefan, the ideas of some parts of our business that will speed up, especially in this design field. We need a lot of inspiration always. So, and the ideas we have just seen, the people who are working on designs are working in a time frame, let's say 10, 15 years in the future. Anyway, they're used to it. Every car they bring to the street is an old model. So we need those inspirations and thoughts, and we're definitely working in that field for sure. Design is a main, or let's say the main buying reason for Audi cars, so that will keep up, or we'll keep up to that benefit in the future. So for sure, we work on that.
Stefan, do you have or you think that the German car manufacturers are thinking quick enough and changing quick enough?
I don't really know. Some of the things that Stefan here said are a bit new to me, but on the other hand, we're working together with some of the car manufacturers also on what can new mobility look like, together with the Ministry of Digital Infrastructure and Transport here in Germany. And actually we think that, and I have to spoil your expectations here a little bit, that actually there will be more accidents in the next 10 to 15 years.
Really?
Because cars don't think like humans. And actually, there was an article about the Google car that it's not acting like a human, and that we will have a mixed traffic on the road, and that will create more accidents.
I was just asking you the question later, but because I was like, do the insurance companies have? I mean, they're losing a lot of money if cars don't have any accidents anymore.
Well, you know, technology often fails. And that's why there is products liability insurance, there is recall insurance. Actually, in 2014, we had as many recalls as we never had before. And in 2015, there will be more recalls. So there is also potential for insurance, and technology must work. With all these pictures that are designed, everything is always in a perfect environment, good weather, no rain, no snow. Everything works perfectly. If it doesn't work perfectly, that's why you have insurance.
I just one remark to that, because I know your business, you will need accidents, but I don't want to disappoint you, but the data-driven technology which are in place, and that is something what Niels just showed, is extremely working well. So and that is also the reason why we say, okay, there will be definitely, and that's not our expectation, there will be less accidents, definitely, because we know that already assistance systems in the past changed the amount of accidents dramatically. So that means we are working on those tools who minimize the risk to make a mistake during traffic, and the cars will eliminate these factors almost to zero. And so all those who have autonomous cars on the streets, we know how small the amount of accidents are. it's not zero, but it's almost zero. I'm sorry for that.
We have over 60 million vehicles on the roads which have no technological features, and still today many people buy cheap cars that have no technology inside, and they will also run on the road in the future.
Raphael, BestMile is a project in Switzerland. You're bringing autonomous minibuses on the road for next year in the city of Sitten.
Yes, exactly.
You are founded also, or you're working together with Postbus from Switzerland and a French company who's building the buses. So you are doing the first step, bringing autonomous cars in a non-smart city or a non-smart environment. What are the most complicated things you have to deal with at the moment?
Yes, exactly. So we are building a cloud platform to manage fleets of autonomous vehicles, and we have to manage the optimizing of this fleet. So how to manage the schedule, the on-demand, traffic optimization, the delay. So yes, we have to deal with other car, other pedestrian, bikers, and we will be always late. So we have to adapt the system in real time to be efficient and to have a good solution for the client.
And how do you do that? Is it just software based, and how do you work together with
it's
the bus?
all software. So we are working with partners like Local Motors or Navia in France. They are developing smart vehicle, and we are providing the cloud platform that allows several vehicles to work together. But we are not an hardware company.
And what are the biggest problems you think? Is it like the pedestrians, bikes, or whatever that's occurring here?
Yes, so the vehicle is responsible for its own security, but it will take times, we will have delays, so we have to ensure good connection, good time travel, we have to deal with the schedule, so we have to adapt the system in real time to have a smart system.
This is a very complicated thing that you're building up. You're doing it without the support of a major manufacturer. Why is that so? Did you talk to major manufacturers like Audi or
Yes,
Daimler
also. So today we are working with quite small companies like Navia in France and Local Motors here, but we are also in discussion with big players, but they will need a little bit more time to move and to have a system running.
Stefan, what Raphael said, needing more time. This is the biggest problem for the big ones?
Yeah. Oh, is it working?
Is it working?
Okay. Yeah, this is definitely one of the biggest problems. Like, for example, we are working with the NASA, we are working with the MIT, with other research institutions where we really literally have release times, just to give you an example, of 24 hours. So we make really decisions on the product, on the software and the hardware within 24 hours. And just, for example, 2 years ago, we helped a big cooperation between the MIT, the self-assembly group lab, and one of the big German OEMs. And after 2 months, the MIT called me and said, we cannot continue with the work because we are not getting answers. And this is really the biggest problem. Like exactly what you said, the OEMs say, yeah, we have to think about it. And this is what the small ones, and also if you take the Apple car group, if you take Google X, Boston Dynamics, Uber, and these guys, they make decisions like that. And I get it. In the automotive industry, there's a lot of insecurity now, and what should we do? Which way should we take? But whatever route you take, you have to do it really quickly. Speed is right now one of the most vulnerable sides of the automotive industry. But if I can go back to your first question, I mean, I think we should talk very open here because it's really a turning point in the industry. BMW, what BMW has done with BMW i, and I really don't understand that people start discussions, will it be a success, will it not be a success? At this point, it doesn't matter because they just did it, and they did it in a very consequent way. It's a completely new manufacturing concept. It's a completely new vehicle architecture, morphology, recycled materials in a premium car, a completely new business ecosystem behind, a new data ecosystem behind. We don't know if it will fail. It's the same, and for example, if you take Audi, and I think it's not a secret, we do a lot of work also with Audi. Audi in these days, and Bettina, I'm not sure if I can say this, but Audi was Yeah, we will see. But Audi was really a lot of like this because of the restrictions from Volkswagen. For example, from the Baukasten, from the modular system, from the development restrictions if you work in a huge system. And this, for example, is breaking up now, and this is really cool. And I'm very sorry for the Dieselgate thing, and I didn't want to bring it up, but this is a kind of a release also with respect to speeding up, changing the culture, going new ways, and especially it's kind of a liberation, for example, for Audi, and hopefully also for Volkswagen and for the other brands, which they need. And Audi, for example, they have really great ideas in engineering, in design, materials, electronics, interfaces, and so on. But they didn't dare. They didn't take really the courage in the last couple of years. Everything is there. They didn't miss something. And BMW had more courage. Mercedes, very interesting, is doing it completely in the background, in a very, very, very own way, but succeeding. Yeah, if you look at the volumes, if you look at the brand image stuff and all this kind of stuff, another very interesting player that is really picking up very well, more sitting in the background, have a watch on Ford. Very, very interesting what they are doing now. And so I have hope.
Bettina, you're dealing with all these problems all day, and you know about what Stefan just said. How hard is it to convince the board that they have to speed up?
Not hard, to be honest. It would be easy to say, maybe they do not listen or whatever, but we're talking about a company with 60,000 people at Audi and about 500,000 at Volkswagen, for example. So it's not about that someone doesn't want. You have to change the business. You have to change the processes that worked well in our core, or still work extremely well in our core business. So we developed just to not justified, but it's important to know we developed on a structure that takes 5 to 7 years in general to bring a car to the market. And that's the reason why it's like this. In general, I totally agree, Stefan, it's only about doing things. And you ask me how it works. It's my job and a job of many people who are here to bring the innovation part to the surface. And there are many people, we wouldn't make it otherwise, but there are many people in the company who are really thrilling to work on future topics. And the basis is great. And but it's challenging at the same time, for sure. Because the core business, and what Stefan just showed, it's not that we change it from tomorrow onwards, all cars will look totally different. That doesn't work, because then you can definitely say goodbye to some of our businesses in general. It will be an evolution, but you have to push processes, you have to change processes, you have to bring the right people in the right projects and to speed up. And I think everyone is totally aware of that.
Can I give you
Yes.
2 more examples?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I would like to give you maybe 3 examples. One thing, and I think this is really critical in Germany right now, what Bettina just said, okay, you have hundreds of thousands of people and they really have the best engineers, the best designers, they have access to all resources, everything. But some of the people have not understood yet that doing a job between 9 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the afternoon, in this situation, this will not get the thing going, and that this will not get the game changing. And this is, I think, an overall problem we are having right now in Germany across all industries. Some people are not recognizing the, the danger of the situation. It's really 5 to 12. And I think we all, if you take the refugees, you can take whatever you want, the banking industry, the insurance industry, we all have to put. And I just told Bettina, I was with some Audi board members last Friday and Saturday on a strategic retreat. And there was also the second line there, so the other top managers, and they said, okay, if we work on this and this, we have to have more capacity. And then one board member stood up, and I really liked that. I'm not going to tell the name. And he said, okay, guys, one thing has to be clear now. You will not get more money, you will not get more people, and I will not take off your daily business, like quality assurance, like in a manufacturing plant, all these kind of things. What we have to do is, all of us, we have to work 20 to 30% more, because if we don't do it, our grandchildren will talk to us and say, why did you fail? And why did you why did you not recognize the situation and save the company? And another very specific example, we had Holger here, and we have Holger Weiss, and we have many startups here. A big problem is if a company like BMW, Audi, or Volkswagen, whatever, wants to work with a startup, it takes them 4 weeks to write an LOI. This is ridiculous. If I'm going to work with Google X, I have in 24 hours, I have an LOI. I have a contract within a week. I have negotiations with the lawyers within 48 hours. And these are the things, and this is, for example, what Bettina in her company, her Audi subsidiary company, I guess is doing in a very different way. And this is why we need, I think, to break down the automotive industry in small innovation cells who can react way faster and can go radical ways.
Yeah, I was at the Daimler-Benz Research and Development Center in Sunnyvale just some weeks ago. I talked to Arvid Nisroy, the CEO of the R&D, and he told me in the time in Germany when you are doing a due diligence report and an NOI, they're making 3 deals in the valley. So it takes too long. But what you said, breaking up the big ones into smaller companies, what I want to ask Stefan about it, because you're working also in the consultant area. Is that what you're talking about at the moment? And is this what you're telling big companies, that they have to speed up by breaking up in smaller divisions?
And think out of the box. Do things differently. That's really necessary, and I fully agree with what Stefan has just said. We don't want to get additional resources. We have to do things better, quicker, and more professional. Yeah.
And this is what you're also talking to the big ones, to the big industry, when you're going to them, telling them working more or restructurize their whole company?
I mean, we consult insurance companies, and the insurance companies I speak to, I tell them that they have to think differently. They have to learn from experiences from other markets, from other countries, and we need to do this very quickly. And there are things that are holding us up here in Germany, like data protection, as we've heard before, that will hinder us to compete with guys in the United States because they don't have these restrictions. And some of the car manufacturers already test things in the United States. Why? Because it's so much simpler.
Well, your project, it's going to start in spring 2016. Do you have an exact date when it's starting?
Sorry?
You have an exact date when it's starting?
It will open to the public in April, but we will start the setup and the test at the beginning of the year.
One thing is that these autonomous buses, these small ones, will drive through the city. You have to. Do you talk to the people of Sion and Sitten about what's happening there and what kind of things coming up to them? Because it's something new. If you see, I mean, today I drove an BMW i3 here to the conference, and the first thing when you get into the car is a warning sign that the car doesn't make any noise. So be prepared that pedestrians and bike drivers were in front of your car. So do you talk to them? Is it because it's also a kind of changing the habits how you deal with your personal transport?
Yes, for sure. So we had a lot of exposure in the media. Postbus is speaking to the population, but at the beginning we will have someone inside the vehicle to welcome people, to answer questions, to do a lot of information. So it will help a lot.
This way of it's a kind of a new way of public transport with autonomous buses. They still drive on a schedule?
No, it's flexible. So you can have flexible route, flexible schedule. You can have on-demand system. So the vehicle is really smart, and with our platform, you can have a really flexible system. You can choose how many vehicles you want per line per hour, if they are on schedule mode or on-demand mode. So, and the system can learn and adapt itself to the demand also.
Bettina, you talked in your keynote about it that it's not owning a car anymore, it's more about sharing. How do you sell cars then in the future?
I think what I tried to show is that the business model changes because you can earn money from a shared car too. But then you, again, and that's what we are doing, is you have to adapt the value chain and the way of also look on a margin. That will totally change. But it's not that we give the cars then for nothing to the customer. So it's still something behind that is called business model. Yeah.
But again, I mean, if you have like a kind of car sharing where you have 3 people owning 1 car, that means you're selling 2 cars less.
So in general, it could be easy like this to calculate, but in our portfolio, we won't have only people who will share cars like this. There will be different needs also. We will have maybe autonomous driven cars that could thread us in a different way also, but at the same time, they drive much more kilometers and they should be replaced much faster. So we still don't know how it would look like volume-wise, but also we will not define ourselves only by the volume topic. That's also a main change for our business, but to the user numbers. So we also adapt to a different way of defining KPIs. And that's I think the next 5-6 years will be extremely thrilling and interesting for the whole industry. We all know that.
I think the next 3 to 5 years will decide which companies will still live in 10 years. Stefan, as we said, car sharing is one thing, but again, the need for a car, my own car is gone, especially when I can go to Local Motors or some other companies and say I want a new car tomorrow, and they print it out in 3D printing. So does the value of the car goes down? It becomes like an accessoire, like a fashion accessoire?
Mm-hmm. This is a very difficult question because, and I think the only valuable answer is if you differentiate the markets. Like for example, if you want to sell cars in Africa, and this will start now, in the next couple of years, you need a whole different approach. Then, for example, if you want to sell cars in India, or versus selling cars in the US or in Europe. So this is the first part of the answer. The second part of the answer is I think there will always be, and I think, by the way, it's a myth, when the press, the media is writing or saying people will not buy cars anymore, I think this is a myth, because car means freedom. And I think with the concepts we're going to see in the future, it's going to be a revival of that freedom. So this is the second part of the answer. The third part of the answer is, yes, especially in big cities, in developed countries like in Europe and in some areas in the US, we're going to see more self-driving cars and these kind of on-demand services, which will reduce the number of sold cars in these markets. But again, I think, therefore, you have the potential in other markets, in new markets, to sell cars where you never sold cars in the past. Are you? Yeah? Yeah, I was watching if you want to give me a sign with the clock. Okay, perfect. Yeah. So and I think this is really the game changer, that there is not a global automotive market anymore with certain mechanisms. We're going to have many different markets, and each market will have different mechanisms and dynamics which you have to serve. And for example, Local Motors, I mean, what they've just published 10 days ago or 2 weeks ago, this model, like the same what Tag Heuer, for example, is doing with the new model of selling smart and classical watches at the same time. This is what we have to look into. Completely new ways of a kind of a life cycle package which we offer to the customer. But this will definitely add complexity in the retail models and, by the way, in the business models. And if I can add one more sentence, just to give you an example. Is that possible? Yes. Yeah? If you look at the self-driving car from Google, they've just been here last week in Germany with the car. And if you look at the business case, this car, I'm not allowed to give you the number, but the Herstellkosten, how do you call it in English? The production costs, including the material costs, are for each car, under the assumption selling more than 200,000 per year, is a high 5-digit number. If you look at the business cases for German OEMs, so big automotive players that are also doing a self-driving robo-taxi, they say we cannot do it now because it can't be more expensive than, for example, 5,000 euros. So again, Herstellkosten, so production costs and material costs. So they saw, okay, this is our business case and this is what we are struggling with. This is the business case from Google. How do you do that? And then the Google guys put on another slide and they said, you know what? It doesn't matter to us how much this car costs. Because, and the other slide was the business case with the money they're going to do, with the new services they're going to offer in that car. And I can also give you not that number, this was a multi-billion business case. And then these top managers and board members I was with from the German industry, they were like this. Ugh. And then one board member from the German automotive guys, he said, you know what, guys? That means we not only have to redefine the way we design cars, we engineer cars, we do the manufacturing and the retail. We have to think about a whole new business case logic. And I was like, excuse me, I didn't say that, but I was like, this is a board member being in the business since, I think, 32 years. And now this makes him understand that he has to change the business case logic, yeah? And, you know, and these are the little things where, this shows you this is really a revolution across the entire value chain. And they have to understand the new mechanisms very fast, and then they have to apply them.
This is one thing that you said about Google, and by the way, thanks for mentioning Apple Car Company. I think it's the first time we heard in Germany that Apple is building a car.
I did not say that they're building a car.
No, I know. No, but anyway, it's going to change a lot in the next years, Stefan, for the end. Before we go to the questions, it's also a lot about data and insurance law of data, as I know. Is this also a big business case for insurance companies in the future? But how do you get to the data out of the cars? Because the car manufacturers, as I know, like to sit on the data and not share them.
Well, there is already cases around for usage-based insurance, and through that we will get the data. And this will also separate the good drivers from the bad drivers, for example. Okay, maybe in the future we won't need so many drivers anymore, but for the time being we have an aging population and they are going to drive cars for a longer period of time. At some point in time they may be not capable anymore, but we will get the data from the vehicles, and we will base our pricing on the data that we receive.
Yeah.
Just one remark, you will get the data from the customer.
Yes.
Not from the
yes.
car.
Yes, we will get the data from the customer.
That's important to know, because we clearly won't give data to insurance company. The customer decides what they want to do. That's important. We will not deliver data anywhere, because it's, as you said, a good driver. Customers maybe want it, maybe not. So, and that's the decision of those who own the data. Yeah.
For the time being, this is only a niche. But there's going to be a turning point when you don't give your data, you will pay quite expensive insurance.
So if you don't give out the data, you pay more.
Yes. Like in many other things.
So, I mean, this is something new, because at the moment, if you drive well, you don't have an accident, you pay less. So in the future, if you don't, or you're not able or not willing to give the data to the insurance company, you will pay more.
It's quite likely, because you will belong to those risks that are not giving you the data, so it's difficult to assess whether you're a good driver or a bad driver, and then of course you will go into that group where the bad drivers are, and when you do the calculation, then you will pay more.
It's quite interesting. I think it was Jeff Williams from Apple who said the car is the ultimate device in the end, so because a lot of data, a lot of streaming data, et cetera, comes from the car, goes or from the customers, and that will change the business models for the manufacturers and for everybody in small companies. I think we're nearing the end of our discussion, but I want to open the panel for some questions, if there are some in the audience. No questions at all. Everybody is satisfied with what we did on the stage. Great.
No question? Ah, there's one
There was
question.
one. Okay.
Please mention your name and your background, please.
Hello, Helmut from Fünfwerken Design Company. One question to all or to Stefan. How do you see in the future the connectivity between individual car traffic, mobility, and public transport? Is it going to one way, to one service, or is it separate? Is it how you? What's your vision of to connect both and work together, or does everything go to one way, one service in the future?
Der Stefan oder der? I think I'm not the most competent guy in this because I'm not so much in this data topic, but I think the key, I mean, you have heard this many times, the key will be that we have a seamless connection between everything. My home, myself, the car, and the multimodal mobility. That would be my very blunt answer. I think you can give a better answer because you're in the business.
I don't know, but I also see that we will soon have Chinese manufacturers come to Europe. Whether their vehicles can talk the language that we are speaking here, we'll see. But of course, we need the seamless connections, and if we get this, and then probably government has to intervene to actually obtain this, then it's going to work. Yeah.
I think in cities there will be a very huge change because you don't think about what car I use to get from A to B. You just think about I want to get from A to B, and then you think about how do I want it? Do I want it quick? Do I want it cheap? Do I want it whatever comfortable? And then you choose a way of transportation, and that's why there are several apps like Alley and Movil and Quicksit on the market, and City Mapper and so on. And those do those things. So you put in your destination where you want to go, and they say, okay, you can take your bike or you can take a train or whatever, and you just choose the way of transportation that suits you the best at this moment. So and you can take a car sharing car and so on and so on. So there is, I think, the change is there that the people in metropolitan areas, I'm not talking about rural areas, but in metropolitan areas, start to rethink the way they think about mobility. It's at the moment you have a monolithic block in front of your house, which is a car, and it costs you a lot of money, and et cetera, et cetera. And as you said, it stands around for like 95% of the time, or nearly 23 hours a day. In the future, I sold my car 2 years ago, and I started rethink my own mobility because I live in Berlin and I was just standing around, and I never want to go back at the moment, because especially in the city, because what I can do with all the apps, with all the car sharing, et cetera, that really makes me very flexible in the way I choose my way through the city. And I think this is the future of mobility also in cities, but this is a very different topic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Don.
Yeah.
Thank you very much to the whole panel. That was quite insightful.